Good morning, brothers and sisters in Christ. There are two dates or two occasions in a year that we remember our Blessed Father Dominic. One is in August 8, and the other one is this day, May 24, the translation of Saint Dominic. As a Filipino Dominican, we are more familiar and more into celebrating the other date, August 8. This date appears in the Universal Liturgical Calendar, and that means it's somehow celebrated universally in the Church as a memorial. However, this date, May 24, it appears in the Dominican Ordo, but it appears to me as somehow a family celebration, a celebration within the Dominican family. However, this day, maybe because this year is the Dies Natalis, the Jubilee year of the death of Saint Dominic or his birth into heaven, it is good to celebrate this day as a feast. I was asking at the back of the altar, how are we celebrating this? Memorial feast? And they seem to be startled with the question, how to answer that one. Feast na lang, memorial na lang, feast na lang. So we ended up celebrating it as a feast. And that is a humble admission that we are more familiar with the August 8 than the May 24, except for those who have stayed and studied in Europe, wherein the more popular celebration is on May 24. So what are we celebrating today? Some of the things that I will say, I beg the indulgence of my brothers. They may be known to you, but they may not be known to other participants of this Eucharistic celebration. Saint Dominic died and was buried at Saint Nicholas of the Vineyards. And true to his wish, he was buried under the feet of the friars, so to say. I do not know how to imagine that, but most likely he's buried on the ground, lower than below the community. But on 12 years after, upon the instigation of the Pope, they held the first transfer of his relics from where he was buried and to a marble sarcophagus. And in the description of the accounts, there seems to be hesitation also among the brethren. Maybe it's natural when you open something, maybe we are afraid what we are to find out. But prior to the opening of his sepulcher, there were already accounts of miracles of people, experienced by people praying at the tomb of Saint Dominic. And I think the move to transfer is connected to his canonization and to make his remains, his relics, more accessible to people. So that's the reason for the transfer. And so the following year, true enough, he was canonized by the same Pope that instigated the transfer, Pope Gregory IX. When they transferred it, and they have to open it and transfer the remains and relics to the marble sarcophagus, according to the account of Blessed Jordan of Saxony, the successor of Saint Dominic, or second master of the order, so it was a first-hand account. And what was very striking was the aroma, the wonderful aroma that covered the whole place when they opened the coffin of Saint Dominic. And it is even said that anything that you attach to the coffin of Saint Dominic or to the relics, somehow the aroma is also somehow absorbed, transferred to the item. So parang na-imagine mo na Gusto mo makaabot dun sa relic. You know, meron tayong ganun eh, maidikit mo lang, ma-touch mo lang. You feel like you are so close to the person to whom that belongs, and that is to our Father, Saint Dominic. So somehow that's the background for the celebration. And somebody asked me, so what's the significance of the celebration? It's not Dominican, just a regular lay person. And it's a question that is very simple, but it's good to ask. No? I was asking myself, should I be the one to answer that question? Or should we, as individuals, as a community, ask ourselves, what is the significance of celebrating this? And so I'll just share with you my own take on the question. And my brothers, you might have your own take on the question, what is the significance of celebrating this? First, it gives me an opportunity to rekindle my filial relationship with our Holy Father, Saint Dominic. I think psychologically, spiritually, humanly speaking, this is significant for a person who has lost a loved one. In recent weeks and months, I have heard many accounts, many people have lost their loved ones, and especially those who have lost their parents. And one account I remember is that they have had dreams of their loved ones. Dreams assuring them, do not worry about us, where we are right now. We are okay. Of course, how can you validate dreams? But what I'm saying is, it seems that such a dream has happened not just in one person, but among many other people. So it is an opportunity for us to rekindle our filial relationship with our Father. When when I was still in this community of St. Thomas, it was really a gift to celebrate the 800 years of the Order with tracing the footsteps of Saint Dominic. And maybe many of you have heard that, when we passed by Bologna, that was the last place connected to Saint Dominic. And I remember the person tasked to celebrate the Mass was Father Max, and I'm the next one, but that was the last one. And I was telling myself, it's sad I will not be able to celebrate in any place connected to Saint Dominic. But I do not know the organizers or the community told the travel agent that we want to stay one more day. And so we spent 2 days. We spent overnight in Bologna, and I had the chance to celebrate there. And it was such a joy. It's like the feeling was really like celebrating, at the cemetery, like when we used to visit our parents' cemetery before the coffin, or in the area where our father was buried. And you feel like talking really to your Father directly and asking to bless us and asking to bless our missions and to pray for vocations, things like that. And so celebrating this brings me back to that experience. And we don't have to be there to rekindle our relationship with the Father, our Father, Saint Dominic. That rekindling of relationship is not purely sentimental. It brings us to 2 things. First, that like our Father, Saint Dominic, we are citizens of heaven. That is our eternal destiny. That is where we are called. And therefore, it should enter in our journey together as our community. In other words, we should journey together towards holiness and lead each other and inspire each other to holiness. If only we take that to heart in a community, it will lead us to the other one, to the unity and rekindling of our sense of mission of preaching the gospel. I read somewhere saying that celebrating this should always remind us of one thing that Saint Dominic did. Go and preach. Go and preach. And so to the whole Tomasian community, but most especially to the brethren of Saint Thomas Aquinas, bring this to heart as we celebrate today. First, you are invited to respond on your own way. What is this celebration for you? But you may also want to consider what I propose, that this celebration calls to mind and invites us our own call to holiness, to sanctity, like our Father Saint Dominic. And secondly, to the mission that he has entrusted to the brethren. Go and preach. These are two difficult, I would say, elements to bring to reality. But in our times of difficulty, we have our hope grounded on the words of our Father Dominic. At the beginning of this celebration, we sang the opening hymn, Ospem Miram. There is somehow a Tagalog translation or rendition of this song. O kahangahangang pag-asa, iniwan mo sa amin. Nangako kang kami tutulungan pagdating mo sa kabilang buhay. Kaya tayo ay nabubuhay sa pag-asa at tayo ay may pag-asa na kaya nating tahakin ang landas ng kabanalan at patuloy na gampanan ang misyon ng pagpapahayag ng magandang balita. Ipanalangin natin ito ng sama-sama habang inaalala natin ang kapistahan ng translasyon ng ating Amang Santo Domingo.